Most people's first kiss is terrible. Like, hilariously cringe into a pillow for 3 years terrible. And it's not because you're bad at it. It's because nobody ever actually taught you. They just threw you into the deep end and hoped you'd figure out how to swim. Well, guess what? You're about to learn what nobody else will tell you. Here's the truth nobody talks about. Kissing isn't some magical thing that just happens when two faces collide. It's a skill. And like any skill, it can be learned, practiced, and mastered. The difference between an awkward face mash and a kiss that makes someone's knees weak. It's not chemistry. It's not luck. It's technique. And you're about to get the blueprint. First, let's kill the biggest myth. That myth that says good kissers are born, not made. Absolute garbage. You know who believes that? People who've never bothered to actually understand what makes a kiss work. The truth is, every great kisser you've ever met learned how to do it. They just learned from experience, trial and error, and probably a few mortifying moments they'd rather forget. You're going to skip all that. Your first advantage is understanding what a kiss actually is. It's not a transaction. It's not something you do to someone. It's a conversation without words. It's a back and forth. A rhythm. A dance where both people are leading and following at the same time. And just like a conversation, the worst thing you can do is show up with a script and refuse to listen. So, before we even get to the physical mechanics, you need to understand this. The person you're kissing is giving you information constantly. Their body language, their breathing, how they're responding. Your job isn't to execute some perfect technique you memorized. Your job is to pay attention and respond. Now let's talk about what actually happens before your lips even touch. This is where most beginners completely blow it. They treat the approach like a surprise attack. Sudden movement, zero warning, face incoming at maximum velocity. Congratulations, you just headbutted your way into someone's personal space like a confused penguin. The approach matters. It sets the tone for everything that follows. You want to create anticipation, not shock. Move slowly. And I mean slowly. Slower than you think is reasonable. Give them time to realize what's happening, to decide if they want it, to meet you halfway. Because here's the thing. A good kiss is collaborative. If you're doing all the work, something's wrong. Eye contact helps. Not creepy, unblinking serial killer eye contact. Just enough to communicate intention. You're creating a moment, a little tension, a silent question. And if they're leaning in too, if their eyes are dropping to your lips, congratulations. You just got a green light. Here's where people panic. They think they need to have their whole face figured out. Where does my nose go? What about my hands? What if I breathe wrong and accidentally snort directly into their nostrils? Relax. Tilt your head slightly to one side. That's it. That's the nose solution. You've just avoided the awkward nose collision that's ruined approximately 4 billion first kisses throughout human history. Your hands aren't as complicated as you think either. They don't need to be doing something elaborate. One hand on their waist, their hip, the small of their back. The other, maybe on their arm, their shoulder, gently touching their face. You're not trying to win a game of Twister. You're creating connection. Keep it simple. Keep it natural. Now we get to the actual kiss. Start soft. Seriously, I cannot stress this enough. Start so soft it almost doesn't count as a kiss. Just a gentle press of your lips against theirs. No movement yet. No tongue. No pressure. Just contact. You're testing the waters. Seeing how they respond. This is the part where you listen. Are they pressing back? Are they pulling you closer? That's your signal to continue. Are they stiff? Hesitant? Pull back a little. Give them space. Maybe it's not the right moment. And that's okay. Reading the situation correctly is more impressive than any technique. If they're responding, if they're engaged, then you can add more. Gentle movement. A little pressure. Think of it like you're exploring, not conquering. Your lips should be relaxed, slightly parted. Not tight. Not pursed like you're about to kiss your grandmother. Actually, soft. The rhythm matters more than you think. You're not trying to win a race. You're not trying to set a speed record. Slow down. Way down. Kissing isn't about how much you can fit into 5 seconds. It's about creating a moment that both of you want to stay in. Breathing is going to feel weird at first. You're going to think about it too much. Where does the air go? When do I breathe? Here's the secret. Breathe through your nose. Calmly. Naturally. Don't hold your breath like you're underwater. Don't hyperventilate like you just ran a marathon. Just breathe normally. Your body knows how to do this. Get out of its way. Let's address the elephant in the room. Tongue. Everyone's terrified of using tongue wrong. Good news. You're not using it yet. Not on a first kiss. Not until you've established a rhythm with just lips. And when you do eventually use it, and we'll get there, it's not a weapon. It's not a probe. It's not trying to reach their tonsils. For now, forget tongue exists. Master the basics first. You're building a foundation. You don't start construction on the second floor before the first floor is solid. Here's what most people don't realize. The kiss itself is only part of the experience. What makes a kiss memorable is everything around it. The build-up, the tension, the way you touch them, the moments between kisses where you pull back slightly, where your foreheads touch, where you both smile. Because this is actually happening, those pauses matter. They give both of you a chance to breathe, to process, to want more. Kissing without pauses is exhausting. It's overwhelming. It's like listening to someone talk without ever stopping for air. You need punctuation. You need rhythm. You need space. And here's something that'll change everything for you. Confidence isn't about knowing you're doing it right. Confidence is about being okay with figuring it out together. It's about not panicking when something feels awkward. It's about laughing it off if your teeth click together. It's about being present instead of being perfect. The worst thing you can do is be somewhere else mentally, worrying about technique, stressing about performance, wondering if you're doing it right. That anxiety, they can feel it. It makes everything stiff and weird. But when you're actually there, actually paying attention to them and the moment, everything flows. You want to know the real secret? The thing that separates okay kissers from unforgettable ones. It's not some advanced move. It's not a trick. It's genuine presence. It's making the other person feel like they're the only thing that exists in that moment. Like you're not thinking about anything else. Like you're completely absorbed in them. But we're just getting started. Because everything I just told you is foundation. It's the baseline. And there's a whole other level we haven't even touched yet. The next level is where you stop following a script and start actually connecting. Where mechanical movements become something that makes someone's heart race 3 days later just thinking about it. Let's talk about hands. Your hands are not dead weight. They're not just hanging there like wet noodles. They're part of the conversation. One hand can rest on their waist, gentle, not grabbing, not clutching like you're holding onto a ledge, just resting there with intention. The other hand? That can move to their face, cup their cheek, slide behind their neck, run fingers through their hair. These touches matter more than you realize. They add layers. They create depth. They make someone feel wanted, not just kissed. But timing is everything. You don't go from 0 to full contact in 2 seconds. You escalate gradually. Start with one hand placement. See how they respond. If they lean into it, if they relax, if they move closer, that's your green light. If they tense up, if they pull back even slightly, you've moved too fast. Dial it back. There's no shame in recalibrating. Actually being able to read those signals and adjust. That's what makes you good at this. Here's what nobody talks about. The space between kisses is loaded with potential. You don't just keep your lips pressed together for 45 seconds straight like you're vacuum sealed. You pull back. Just slightly. Just enough to create anticipation. Your faces are still close. Your breath is still mixing. But there's this gap. This electric moment where you're both deciding what happens next. And then you close that gap again. That rhythm, that push and pull. That's what creates chemistry. Eye contact during those pauses will make or break the entire experience. You don't stare like a serial killer, but you also don't avoid their eyes like you're ashamed. Quick glances, soft looks, just enough to acknowledge that you're both human beings sharing something vulnerable. Those micro moments of eye contact build trust. They say, I see you, I'm present, I'm not just going through motions. Now, let's address what happens when things heat up. Because they will. If you're doing this right, if you're both into it, the intensity naturally builds. That's when people usually panic and either shut down completely or go full chaos mode. Neither works. What you do instead is match energy. If they're pulling you closer, you can lean in more. If they're kissing you harder, you can respond with the same intensity. But you're not leading with aggression. You're not trying to dominate. You're dancing. And in dancing, someone has to lead. But both people are moving together. This is where tongue finally enters the picture. And I need you to hear this clearly. Less is more. Way less. You're not trying to explore their entire mouth. You're not jamming your tongue in there like you're searching for loose change. You're introducing it slowly. Just the tip at first. Testing. Seeing how they respond. If they mirror it back, you can do a little more. Gentle movements. Soft touches. Tongue against tongue, not tongue against everything else in there. The biggest mistake people make with tongue is overthinking the mechanics. They start choreographing it like a dance routine. What you actually do is focus on the sensation. Focus on them. Let your instincts handle the details. Your body knows how to do this if you stop micromanaging every movement. Trust yourself. Trust the process. Trust that humans have been figuring this out for thousands of years without instruction manuals. Variety matters more than you'd think. You can't just kiss the same way for 10 minutes straight. That gets boring. Mix it up. Soft kisses, slightly firmer kisses, kisses on their lips, kisses at the corner of their mouth. If you're feeling bold and the moment's right, a gentle kiss on their neck. But only if everything else has been going well. You don't just jump to neck kisses out of nowhere. That's not smooth. That's weird. Pay attention to breathing patterns, yours and theirs. When someone's breath quickens, that usually means they're into it. When it stays calm and steady, maybe dial things back slightly. When you hear them sigh, especially that soft, involuntary sigh, you're doing something very right. Keep doing that thing. Don't suddenly switch it up just because you're nervous. Stay with what's working. Here's something that'll save you from disaster. If at any point something feels off, if there's a weird angle, if your neck is cramping, if you need a second, just pause. Pull back slightly. Smile. Take a breath. Reset. This isn't a performance review. Nobody's grading you. The other person is probably relieved you broke the tension anyway. Then you can adjust positions, tilt your head the other way, whatever you need. And you go again. Let's talk about the stuff nobody mentions because it's awkward. What happens if your nose is in the way? You tilt your head more. Simple fix. What if you accidentally bump teeth? You laugh it off. What if you're not sure if they want more or if they're done? You pull back and read their body language. If they chase your lips, they want more. If they settle back, they're probably good for now. Context clues exist for a reason. The thing that separates forgettable kissing from the kind that lives in someone's memory is emotional presence, not just physical presence. Emotional. That means you're not thinking about your grocery list. You're not worried about how you look. You're not running through techniques in your head. You're actually there with them, feeling what you're feeling, noticing what they're feeling, being vulnerable enough to be genuinely in the moment. This is going to sound weird, but confidence in kissing comes from being okay with imperfection. It comes from knowing that even if it's not flawless, the fact that you're trying, that you care, that you're paying attention, that matters more than executing some perfect technique. People remember how you made them feel. They don't remember if you tilted your head exactly 30 degrees or used the optimal amount of tongue. They remember if they felt desired, if they felt seen, if they felt safe. And that safety piece is huge. Kissing someone, really kissing them, requires vulnerability from both people. You're putting yourself out there. So is the other person, creating a space where that vulnerability feels okay, where it feels exciting instead of terrifying. That's the real skill. That's what turns a physical act into an actual connection. But there's still one massive piece missing. The thing that determines whether this becomes a moment you both treasure or just another awkward memory you cringe about later. That missing piece is knowing when to stop. Most people think more is always better. Longer kiss equals better kiss. That's Completely wrong. The best kisses leave you wanting more. They end at the peak, not after you've both run out of steam and it's gotten awkward. You ever notice how the most memorable moments in life are the ones that don't overstay their welcome? Same principle applies here. So how do you know when to pull back? When the energy is still high. When you're both still leaning in. When it still feels exciting. That's your cue. Not when you're both exhausted and your lips are numb. Not when you've run out of ideas and you're just going through motions. Right before that point. Always leave them thinking about what comes next, instead of relieved it's finally over. Here's what that looks like in practice. You're kissing. It's going well. You feel that momentum. Instead of pushing until it fizzles out, you slow down intentionally. Your kisses get softer, more spaced out. Then you pull back. Not abruptly, gradually. You might rest your forehead against theirs. Maybe you're smiling. Maybe you're catching your breath. But you've created a natural endpoint that feels right, not forced. This does something powerful in their mind. It makes them want more. It creates anticipation. It shows restraint, which is incredibly attractive. Desperation pushes people away. Confidence pulls them in. And nothing says confidence like knowing when enough is enough. Now let's address the anxiety that probably just spiked in your chest. What if they wanted to keep going? What if pulling back makes them think you're not interested? Here's the truth. If someone is genuinely into you, pulling back at the right moment makes them more interested, not less. It builds tension. It creates space for desire to grow. Versus kissing until you're both tired and awkward, which kills tension completely. Plus, you can always come back for more. Pulling back doesn't mean the moment is over forever. It means you're letting it breathe. Maybe you talk for a minute. Maybe you just look at each other. Then, if the moment's still there, you go back in. But now it's a choice, not momentum carrying you forward on autopilot. There's something else nobody talks about. The aftermath. What happens in the seconds and minutes after you stop kissing matters almost as much as the kiss itself. This is where most people panic and ruin everything they just built. They immediately start talking to fill silence. They make a joke that lands weird. They ask if it was okay, which reeks of insecurity. Or, worst of all, they apologize for no reason. Don't do any of that. Here's what you do instead. You stay close. You don't immediately create distance like you're embarrassed. You let the silence exist for a second. Silence after a good kiss isn't awkward. It's charged. It's full of everything you're both feeling. Let it sit there. Then, when you do speak, keep it simple. A smile works better than words most of the time. If you do say something, make it genuine. Not a joke. Not a question seeking validation. Just something real. The goal is to not shatter the moment you just created. You've built something here. Don't demolish it by getting in your own head immediately after. Stay present just a little bit longer. Let's tackle one more thing that trips people up. What happens if it wasn't great? What if you tried everything and it still felt off? First, one kiss doesn't define anything. Chemistry builds over time. Maybe you were both nervous. Maybe the timing was weird. Maybe you just need practice together. Every person kisses differently. Learning someone takes more than one attempt. Second, if it genuinely felt wrong, like there's just no spark at all, that's valuable information too. Not every connection is meant to be romantic. And that's completely fine. Better to figure that out early than to force something that isn't there. But don't make snap judgments based on one kiss when you're both nervous and overthinking everything. Here's what actually matters in the end. Technique helps. Everything I've told you will make you better at this. But the real secret isn't about lips or angles or timing. It's about genuine connection. It's about actually caring about the other person's experience, not just your own. It's about being present instead of performing. It's about vulnerability instead of trying to seem perfect. The people who are great at kissing aren't great because they memorized steps. They're great because they pay attention. They notice. They adjust. They care. They're not in their heads running through a checklist. They're actually experiencing the moment with another human being. That's the difference between a forgettable kiss and one that stays with someone. You want to know the real test of whether you did it right? It's not whether it was perfect. It's whether the other person felt something, whether they felt wanted, whether they felt safe enough to be vulnerable with you, whether the moment mattered. Technical perfection means nothing if there's no emotional weight behind it. So yes, pay attention to all the practical stuff. Start slow. Read body language. Match their energy. Be present. Know when to stop. All of that matters. But don't let the mechanics overshadow the actual point. You're connecting with another person. That's what makes it meaningful. That's what transforms a physical act into an actual moment between two people. One last thing. You're going to mess up. Everyone does. You'll probably bump teeth at some point. You'll misjudge an angle. You'll go in too fast or too slow. Your nose will get in the way. Something will feel awkward. That's normal. That's part of being human. The person who can laugh it off and keep going without making it weird is infinitely more attractive than someone who executes flawless technique, but freaks out the second something goes slightly wrong. Perfection isn't the goal. Connection is. Presence is. Actually giving a damn about the person you're kissing is. Everything else is just details. So, the next time you're in that moment, standing close to someone, feeling that tension build, you'll know what to do. You'll read the signs. You'll move with intention. You'll stay present. You'll create something that matters to both of you, not because you followed a formula, but because you actually showed up. And that's what people remember, not the perfect execution. The fact that you were really there with them, that you made them feel something real. That's what turns a first kiss into a moment neither of you forgets. So, stop overthinking it. Stop trying to memorize every angle and technique like you're studying for a calculus exam. The person in front of you isn't grading you. They're hoping you'll make them feel something. And if you can do that, if you can just be present and pay attention and actually care about their experience, you're already better than most people who've been doing this for years.